Good morning. You're listening to First Talk with Hal Rowe on WHKY Talk Radio for the greater Hickory Metro. President of your Catawba County Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber, Lindsay Kiesler, joins us this morning. Good morning. It's always a pleasure to see you. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Hal.
You're
Thank
in
you
a little
for having me
early,
always.
so thank you very much because we didn't do it on New Year's Day,
That's
so
right.
you're in today.
That's right.
And came in bright and early, so thank you.
I'm glad to be here.
Business lessons learned last year. You told me that there was a meeting last week, and you took some notes and found it to be very interesting. I'd like to hear about this. Business lessons learned in 2023 because we're post-pandemic. We're starting to get back out. Wallets are budgets are starting to come about again. So tell me about it.
So I was just really inspired last Friday. I attended a meeting, and it was one of our leads groups. We have weekly leads exchange groups, and they're rather small groups, 12 to 15 or more business leaders who meet weekly, and they want to help each other achieve their goals through leads and referrals. And I asked the question to the group, what was your biggest business lesson you learned in 2023? And I don't know about you, Hal. I mean, do you set New Year's resolutions? Are you a resolution guy?
I used to. And then there's only been one or two that I've really stuck with. I mean, quit smoking. I made a resolution to quit smoking, and I quit smoking.
There you go.
So, it's just kind of helpful.
Right.
Not so much anymore. I kind of have a general idea of where I'd like to be.
Like set your intentions.
There you go. That's a great way. That's a great way to put it.
I tend to do that as well. I might think of obviously planning and creating a strategic plan, sort of a roadmap for the year.
Right.
Creating goals and expectations.
Turn off the TV, get out a book, things like that. Right.
And then really and truly, it's just like setting my gaze and setting my intentions for the year. Okay. But I find myself more or less saying, not necessarily what I'm going to do differently, but I find myself spending a lot of time reflecting on the year before. So what were some of the habits that I created that were healthy? What were some of the habits that I created that were not so healthy?
Right.
And then how can I make those adjustments in the year ahead to sort of change my trajectory or change some of
that's
tweak
just a great
some
way
of
to
my
look
habits.
at it. Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a reframe. I guess some could call that resolutions, but I tend to think it's more of a lessons learned. How can I do better tomorrow than I did today? Right. Which is really one of my personal mantras, actually, better today than yesterday, that I try to live by. And when I pose this question to this group of business leaders, when you think about it, they represent various small businesses for across the county. Many of them are their own, they own their own business, so they're entrepreneurs. Several represent others. Some of the things that they said, I took notes because it truly inspired me, and hopefully those of you that are listening out there, you'll think to yourself, what was the greatest business lesson you learned in 2023? And then maybe you'll take something from some of the things that they said. So, first of all, someone said, stop saying yes.
Okay.
Stop saying yes. So they said saying yes, when you say yes to something, it's saying no to something else. Every yes is a no to something else. And if you say yes, are you being distracted? Is that yes distracting you from your true assignment?
That's very interesting because there are times when we get busy and all of a sudden you're asked to serve on a certain board. You don't want to say no. Say yes. You're asked to be a deacon of the church. You don't want to say no. Say yes. All these things that because as serving as a deacon on a or on a board you may be taking away family time. Or family might need you at that particular point. Or if you're your business owner, you may be taking time away from that business while you're serving the community and doing a good job. You can't say yes to everything.
That's right. That's
interesting. That's great. Great input there.
Another person said, I need to know my value and my worth better. Stop playing small. And they were referring to this.
Great.
Right? So stop playing small. I mean, how often do we play small in our lives, in our daily lives? How often do we limit ourselves? We put limits on ourselves that aren't necessarily there. And
we do it ourselves, you're right.
Yeah, and we don't necessarily understand our worth and our value. And so for them, they said, in that, a practical way is I feel like I'm spending 80% of my time on those that yield 20% of my revenue?
Right.
You know, how can I spend more time either acquiring customers that are going to be have greater lifetime customer value, and less time with those that are, you know, maybe the small, they yield small return, but you spend a ton of your time servicing them.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really, really impactful. Another one said, stick to my policies. I create policies for a reason. And she was referring to her cancellation policies. And she's like, I create these policies for a reason, but sometimes when a customer calls, they give me a story, and I might bend my own rules, and therefore I break my own back to service them, and it turns into being, you know, not a healthy situation for them. So they said, why, you know, I set policies, we need to stick to them. Boundaries are good.
Yes. Oh, that's good. These are good things from these folks, and it's interesting to know that they've learned them, and they've learned them now, and they're going to put them into place. And So
and a couple, somebody else said, we're meant for community. They wanted to do more. They felt like they have been successful at setting their goals around their own business, and they feel like now they're in the position where they can lean in and help somebody else. And so they said, you know, there's such value in creating community. And you know what I mean by community? It's finding your tribe, like finding your people that you can draw inspiration from, draw encouragement from. Maybe you add value to them as sort of a give and take relationship. And I feel like we create that at the Chamber, and that's something unique that we do. We provide that space for that connectivity and that space for people to build confidence in what they're trying to do and accomplish. And so this person said, I want more of that in 2024. And then another said, I need to give more. I need to give more of myself. I can't expect to receive from my community if I'm not giving.
Right.
So they wanted to create more opportunities for them to give, whether it's a referral, that encouragement, that create that sounding board for somebody else, so they can build better and deeper relationships for referrals and you know, cross promotion and things like that in the future. And I thought that was pretty insightful as well.
Absolutely.
And then something that I said, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, Hal. I'd love to hear your thoughts. My biggest, what I shared is sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. And I don't know about you, but that's just not my personality. My personality is not typically, my natural personality is not to slow down, ever. I mean, I am a performer, achiever, right? I like to put my foot on the gas pedal.
Right.
And sometimes you have to feather that gas pedal a little bit in order to speed up. As long as you're going in the right direction, the runway might be a little bit longer before takeoff, but you will take off eventually, right? And you will reach the destination that you have set forth in your mind. And so that was my biggest takeaway from one of my biggest takeaways. There's several, but one of them was sometimes you have to slow down to speed up.
Huh. Very interesting.
What about you?
I would say something that I learned is be prepared for surprises, because I had no idea coming into this past year that the station was going to go through a sale. I had no idea that there was going to be a complete change almost in management, and things were truly, I mean, don't get me wrong, the station's great.
Right.
But, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing.
Right.
But I think that we all need to be aware of the fact, instead of being maybe complacent or this is going to be the way that it's going to be, and this is, we all have to be aware of the fact that whatever you're doing in whatever manner, it can change in a heartbeat. And you have to understand that change can happen. Neither, it doesn't have to be good or bad. It can be neither. It can simply be change.
That's right.
But if you're not prepared for something, who saw COVID coming?
Right.
Right? So that was in a week or two's period of time. I didn't really go back and think about it, but there's so many things that if we just observe and be aware, sometimes we're not caught unawares. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for asking me. Good morning. You're listening to First Talk with Hal Rowe on WHKY Talk Radio for the Greater Hickory Metro. We just kept chatting through the break, and we said, let's just keep it up with Chamber because you've got a meeting later on this morning, but you were kind enough to say, I can give you an extra few minutes. Let's talk about 2024 because oftentimes New Year's resolutions and oftentimes business as we progress, people will say, okay, I'm thinking about starting my own business, and the first of the year is where a lot of people will do this.
That's right.
We know that there are some resources out there for people who want to start their own business because you mentioned it earlier with small business. Oftentimes you're HR, you're the advertising department.
That's right.
You have so many things that you have to do as a business owner, but the Chamber is here to help you with that. And you've got, what's it called, a digital what?
Yeah, a digital toolkit.
Toolkit, thank you.
New year, new business, right?
Okay.
Maybe you were at those family gatherings over the holidays and you talked to somebody about this great idea that you had that you wanted to bring to market, and maybe you've been sitting on this great idea for a while. You've had this thought of a product or service that you think is missing in our community, and you want to create it and you want to launch it. So maybe 2024 is the year you're going to do that. But to your point, Hal, you don't know what you don't know. If you're venturing in to starting a business, there's certain aspects you just don't know, and you can't know unless you've gone through it. And so we saw the gap. We saw the gap of information in our community. I will say, you mentioned there are a few resources. There are a lot of resources out there that you as an entrepreneur can tap into to help you, whether it's help refining your idea, identifying your target audience, or whether it's securing financing, and then even down to what's the proper zoning and permitting, and where's my desired location if you want to occupy an existing space, or maybe you're thinking about acquiring property and you want to purchase and build something new.
All these things, you better be prepared.
All these things
that you might not think of. I had a buddy who started a restaurant. He said, you know what? I never thought about ketchup, mustard, napkins, and salt and pepper on the tables. He said that's one of the things that I never thought of because that's your basics.
That's right.
He said, I was thinking about the food cost and the production and what I needed to do in the kitchen and who I needed to hire there, but I never thought about the cost of the napkins and the cost of the condiments. And he goes, and that is just something that you see when you walk in, but one of the things that I missed. And
well, and it impacts your cost of doing business, which impacts what your menu prices need to be so that you can actually pay yourself and cover all the expenses that are required and overhead and all those variable costs as well. But my point, there are tons of resources, tons of touch points out there. But what we felt was missing is the putting it all together.
Clearinghouse to find all the different parts.
The clearinghouse. So where is that 10,000-foot sort of step-by-step guide as to how it all fits together? We've got the Small Business Center at CBCC. We have the Small Business Technology and Development Center. We have all of our local municipalities and our county who are ready and are willing to sit down and spend time with you. We have other resources like our downtown development associations, like our home builders associations, like all these associations and resources and entities and agencies who are ready and willing. But where's the guide that puts it all together? So we've created that. We created that. So the end of 2023, we worked with all those partners, and we put together a comprehensive sort of step-by-step guide, if you will, and we're calling it a digital toolkit. It's going to live and breathe online, so it'll be fully dynamic, and we'll change it as things change or add resources as resources are added. And somebody can take this and go from, we call it like what is it, soup to nuts? Is that what you say? Right. So it's from start to finish. So from refining your idea to ribbon cutting, right? And everything in between.
And I'm going to guess, I don't know, you are not giving so much the instruction, but where to find the information on these.
That's right.
Where do I find the information on refining? How do I find the information on a ribbon cutting? Instead of giving the step-by-step instructions, because you said there's a lot out there.
There are resources out there. Yeah.
You're just helping them find those resources.
We are absolutely directing them in the direction of where you need to go. And so as your chamber, our goal is to be that sort of guide, be that ombudsman, if you will, be that liaison, an advocate to point you in the right direction.
Right.
This guide, again, will live on the Chamber's website.
Okay.
It's launching at the end of this month. It'll live on the Chamber's website. But we're also going to be relying on all of those partners that I mentioned, in addition to others such as lenders in our community.
Right.
Maybe, it's going to sit in the lobby of a bank. Anywhere where an entrepreneur, any kind of entry point where an entrepreneur would access. Our commercial realtors are going to be key.
Right.
Our property managers are going to be key. Our property owners will be key. So anybody that's working with someone that may want to start a business or scale their business, they want to expand and grow, those will be the entities that will help point people in the direction of this digital toolkit to then help navigate that person through the process.
Just real quick, this is kind of, it goes along with what we're talking about, but also the Small Business Center, you said CBCC, a Small Business Technology Development Center, is that handled by ASU?
Yes. So the Small Business Technology Development Center is
SBDTC or whatever, somewhere in those.
Through App State University. And their regional office is actually located right here in Hickory.
That's what I thought.
They do one-on-one business counseling. These
are just a couple of that you've mentioned, but these are just a couple of great resources, right?
Right here that are free. Most of what they offer is complimentary. It's actually it's prepaid through your tax dollars. Right, so you may as well use it.
Right,
may as well tap into those. So if you're an entrepreneur out there, you're operating an existing business. Maybe you've been in business for several years and you're wanting to enter into growth mode.
Right.
And you want to scale
and don't know quite how to do that.
Yeah, those are some great resources that I can direct you to. We've got Anna Jackson, who's the interim regional director of the Small Business Technology Development Center. We have Chris Reese, who's the director of the Small Business Center at CBCC. Both of those are great partners of ours, and I'd highly recommend you reaching out. And it's easy to contact. You can just Google those, and their contact information will pop right up.
Because the reason I ask that is that as Vince and I go through our weekly meetings and say, who do we want to have on the show?
Yes.
Those are a couple of the ones that we want to get back in. Pardon me. And we haven't maybe talked to them over the past year. Mm-hmm. So we need to get back in touch with them and say, what services do you offer? And maybe as, we take a look into this digital toolkit, we're going to find some areas of, okay, this is what you can do for a new business. This is what function you serve as part of this toolkit. So maybe we can take a look at doing that and get us some great guests on the air to let people know who may be thinking about that or who see it and are maybe able to tell their brother-in-law, hey, you've got this yard service and, you don't want to just do mowing. Mm-hmm. You want to grow into an actual landscaping firm. Mm-hmm. Well, I heard a show the other day, and here's who you need to contact. Or go to the digital toolkit that the Chamber has.
That's right.
And you can find out a little bit more about how to do that. It might not happen overnight, but at least you can start thinking in that direction.
Yeah, and there are even links to other considerations. So questions about insurance, legal questions, from a tax policy perspective. There are links in this digital toolkit to experts in our community, whether it be attorneys or CPAs, that can help you, or insurance brokers and agents that can help you navigate these complexities.
So go to the Chamber's website, which is
CatawbaChamber.org.
That's easy enough.
This is a little bit of a teaser because we're dropping it at the end of the month, but beginning of February, it will be up and ready and
fully operational.
Yeah, fully operational.
Thanks, very much. Good to see you.
Good to see you always.